Hello, good morning, afternoon, depending on where you are. We're back. So I found out something super cute about Locked Heart. After you finish their route, they turn into a person on the load screen. I don't know if I just missed that yesterday, but hey, how cute! I did do some changes to the screen just to make it make a little more sense since there's so much blank spot. This is the size of the game. It's not bigger than this. I would love to be full screen, but that is the size we get. And I don't want to stretch it. I could stretch it, but I don't know if it'll look good stretched in the screen, if you know what I mean. So I didn't want to make it bigger. So we finished Soul's route yesterday. The way I saw Soul at the end of the stream, they turned into human. See, I didn't even notice until I opened it today. I was like, it's a boy. So I totally missed it. I actually have the walkthrough beside me only because this game has like 2 endings, and if you get one wrong, you get the normal ending no matter what, so. Plus, I didn't realize that the first choices actually determined which route you ended up on. I still don't know how I ended up on Soul's route because his is stay outside. I went inside. I should have gone on his route. I'm just gonna cheat and load our first save where we're outside. I put my hair in pony little braids, so my hair's not as long as hers. I can't make it look as good as hers, but I tried. Also lurking because I'm finishing my second route in Gilded Shadows right now. Ooh. I'll look that one up too. I tried to look up a game the other day that I think it was shared in the Atomi part of our Discord, and it didn't. I couldn't find it. I want to play it. Lurking because I'm playing Helldivers. I'll be playing Helldivers on Friday, maybe. I don't know if I'll be streaming because I'm doing it after I get home from work, but I was invited to a party and I told them if I was still around, if they were still around, I'd do it. I'm gonna stay outside. We're gonna skip. And his says stay awake this time. All right, I don't think it's a good idea to sleep out here. Who knows what kind of creatures lurk in this forest. For democracy and super Earth, yeah. What if a wild bear attacks me during my sleep? I shivered at the thought. I definitely can't die in this place. But what am I supposed to do now? If only my mother were here, she'd know what to do. I smiled. That's right, Mother always knew what I was supposed to do. Did she? Hey, Aurora, taste this. It's so good! I'm sure the people you cook for will love it. Thank you, sweetie. Someday you'll be as good as a cook as I am. Do you really think so, Mommy? By the way, I make ramen. That's the extent. I do cook from time to time, but I wouldn't say I'm a chef. Of course, and that's a promise. Yay! The people you cook for, they're a famous family, right? Yes, they're the... This weather. Now I have to clean the mud off of my feet. Why do I have to be the one checking outside instead of Royal? Hey, look, it says incoming ad break. Finally, it worked. I'd put that in. So I think some of the stuff, some of the pictures and not pictures, emotes aren't working yet because it says they're still waiting to be approved. I put a bunch in. I had to create them myself, so we'll have more as they get approved. A voice broke through my reverie. Just being cool here. I blinked and spun around, searching for the source of the voice. My heart thudded against my chest. Aren't they so cute? Yay! The gang one's finally working. Yesterday it wasn't showing on my screen. Anytime someone used it, it just said friends. And I'm like, oh no. For Super Earth. Where'd it came from? I can't see anyone. It must be my imagination. I'm crazy. Hi, sleazy. Talking to yourself is the first sign of madness, young lady. It came again. Maybe I really was going mad. Down here, young lady. I turned to look down and almost screamed, is it the rabbit? Or not the rabbit, the cat? Why is he calling her young lady? I don't recall him talking to her like that. A white teddy bear was staring up at me with amusement in its eyes. I then remembered my previous thought about a bear attacking me. I wouldn't mind being attacked by a cute teddy bear. Hello. You noticed me at last. You can talk? You're a magic bear. You could say that, I suppose. Have you never seen a talking bear before? He's a little prankster, isn't he? He's like, you never seen this? I'm like, oh my god. No, I haven't. I guess it can't be helped. They are rather expensive. You don't need to point out how poor I am, though. I apologize. I didn't mean to offend you. I only pointed that out. They cost a lot of money. Anyways, what are you doing out here in the rain? You see, a demon cat ordered me. Sound. The thunder break. I shivered, glancing at the shadows cast on the house by the lightning. I knew that this place was cursed, but nobody mentioned anything about the demons. There's demons here? I'm afraid so. Deon, who are you talking to? It appeared that the bear I was talking to wasn't the only talking bear around here. In fact, he was the smallest of a group that had now shown up on the porch. They didn't seem like demons, so I managed to stop shaking. If a bear's talking to you, which is not normal, maybe it's a demon. I mean, a Raggedy Ann doll is the actual monster that's invented in The Conjuring. Maybe I'll give them names to distinguish them. The brown bear can be Papa Bear, since he's the biggest. The yellow medium-sized one can be Mama Bear. And I'll call the smallest one Baby Bear. Distracted, I suddenly realized that they were all staring expectantly at me. And believe me, it is rather intimidating when a group of toy bears stare at you. Even though it was probably doesn't sound scary at all. I raised my hands in surrender. I'm like, I give up. Please don't mind me. I'm harmless. Papa Bear glared at me. I didn't know teddy bears were even capable of doing that. What are you doing here, girl? I actually got lost in the forest and I ended up here? That's impossible. This has never happened before. The two bears talked in hushed voices, but I could still hear them. What did they mean by that? Oh, you poor dear. Please do come in. We are not very good hosts, are we? Keeping a guest outside in the cold and rain. But she's not our guest. Any beautiful lady will be treated like a guest. No need to be so grumpy, old man. I blushed, my gaze on Baby Bear. I'm just gonna say this right now. It's weird that she's like, oh my, this little teddy bear called me pretty. He called me a beautiful lady. No one has ever called me that before. Baby Bear approached me and pulled on my dress. You're coming in, and that's that. I looked inside the mansion, and it was awfully dark in there. Goosebumps prickled my skin. Do I really have to go in there? Then I remembered Baby Bear mentioned something about a demon. I instinctively stepped back. I can't go in there. I can't go in there, especially if there's a demon waiting for me. Mama Bear tilted his head, puzzled, but then his face lit up in understanding. Wait, you must mean Miss Maria? Mama Bear stared at Baby Bear, who only shrugged in response. Then Mama Bear sighed. Fear not, my lady. My brother was only exaggerating about a demon. He was actually referring to our dear nanny, Miss Maria, whom I assure you is definitely not a demon, but a fine woman who has looked after us for years. I sighed, relieved. The last thing I wanted was to go face to face with a demon, if they did exist, that is. So we established that the ragdoll's in love with the prince and that Royal likes Goldie. Does Miss Maria like Baby Bear? Is that a thing? Papa Bear and Baby Bear seemed to disagree. Their faces were grim and they shuddered in sync. Pipsqueak here is telling the truth. The woman really is a demon. I second that. Gentlemen, you should at least act grateful for everything Miss Maria has done for us. You're asking too much from us, soul. Now I was curious about this person called Miss Maria. Though Baby Bear had called her the demon of the mansion, I was oddly excited to meet her. I kept imagining a nice old lady taking care of these adorable teddy bears. Maybe it's because these bears are so adorable, I cannot think of anyone terrifying when I look at them. My train of thought was cut off when the lights inside the mansion suddenly turned on. The lights are working again! More teddy bears? Let's go! Papa Bear crossed his arms and shook his head in disapproval. This is a bad idea. Hush, Royal. Let's go in before our guest catches a cold. Huh? Here's your tea, my lady. I stared at the rag doll in front of me as she placed a cup of tea on the table. 3 bears and a rag doll. The deluxe mansion consists of toys? Thank you for the tea, Lily. Now, please, my lady, do tell us, what were you doing out here by yourself? Waiting for the skip to... Aha. Perfect. The one benefit of having played through this before is I don't have to reread all the things I've already seen. Okay, so... Did I talk to Deon before? I think I did. And he said they could be talking about anything, so... And this is where it's going to deviate. It said to pick leave for his route, so we're going to leave. I stood on the mansion porch and stared at the forest ahead of me. The rain had stopped, but the earth was still littered with dampness. Raindrops were caught in the soft halo of the moonlight. Taking a deep breath, I turned and looked at the toys gathered at the door. Their expressions were that of sadness. Though the longer I looked at their glass eyes, the more I believed it was fear. It was nice meeting you all. No sooner had I finished speaking did Lily let out a sob and disappear inside. Miss Lily! Bidding me the one last worried glance, Mama Bear went after her, which left only Papa Bear and Baby Bear. Why does it suddenly feel like I'm saying my final goodbyes? I mean, you don't know them. Makes sense. As if to enforce my concerns, Papa Bear scoffed at me, though it came out like a growl. I can't believe you really want to die so badly. Not that it matters to me. Do whatever you want. He gave me one last glare, then left as well. Deon looked up at me, his cute face crimped with worry and unhappiness, very much like the baby bear I kept calling him. It's not yet too late to change your mind, you know. I keep hitting the mouse button. In the middle, the little dial makes it go back. Death. Were they really serious about this barrier thing? Would it seriously kill me? I looked at the forest once again. I didn't see anything out of the ordinary that could stop me. Everything was wet from the rain, but it looked the same as it had when I was running through the trees to find shelter. Nothing should happen. But why do I feel so nervous and scared? Drawing in a deep breath, I took one step, then another. Resisting the urge to glance back at Baby Bear, I tried to take a third step and continue down the path. My own funeral march sung in my head, playing vividly in my mind. I tried to shake it away, but the fear had already sunk in. So if you didn't watch the previous stream or wasn't here for last time, they say that there's a barrier around the entire estate that will kill you if you try to leave, because someone has previously died trying to leave. So However, she had not been there prior to the barrier, so there's a chance she wouldn't. What if I really die when I try to leave the mansion grounds? My body froze for a few seconds, and then I stumbled backwards until I was at the door again. I could feel cold sweat lingering on my neck. I changed my mind. You made the right decision to stay, my lady, although I'm a bit intrigued. What changed your mind? The image of a closed casket entering a tomb flashed across my mind again. You don't want to know. Baby Bear shrugged and shook his head at me, though I noticed a little smile on his face, too. You are one weird girl. Anyways, let's go back inside before you get yourself into more trouble. Okay. I was about to follow Baby Bear inside when I noticed something on the lawn a few yards from the porch. I squinted hard, the moonlight caught on the gathering of pebbles lined up in a wide arch on the grass. That's odd. Why are they like that? I turned towards the forest again. Beside me, Baby Bear gave a sigh. What's wrong? Ugh. Check the pebbles or nothing? Really? Baby Bear tilted his head to the left, staring at me. That was the right, sorry, to the left. Why do you look so bothered if it's nothing? I noticed that there were pebbles around the house, and I was wondering what they're for. They act as a mark to indicate where the barrier starts. You're a very observant, Aura. I'd like to take note of my surroundings so I won't get lost. She gets lost all the time. Noticing pebbles around the house does not make her observant. I end up getting lost anyways. I laughed at the irony. As much as I'd like to leave, I don't think I could figure out which way I should go. I don't suppose you could tell me the direction to the next village? A wary smile pulled at his lip mouth. There is like a hair on my face somewhere, I can feel it. As much as I'd like to help a lady, even if I did tell you the direction, they won't help much at this point. We are trapped here. Remember? Oh, right. My hope instantly died. It's getting cold. Let's go back inside. Of course. I gave one last look at the forest, mentally berating myself for getting into this mess. I touched my locket and I jerked my hand away when it burned under my touch. What? I stared at the locket, startled. Slowly I touched it again, bracing myself for the heat. It felt as cold as always. I think I'm going crazy. Aura? Coming. I followed Baby Bear back inside, and I was surprised to find that everyone was waiting for me. Glad to see you're still in one piece. Thanks. You made the right decision, child. At least you're smart enough to listen to your elders, unlike someone here. I bit back a retort. Elders? How can I seriously consider her an elder if she looked like a super cute cat plush? My face must have revealed my thoughts because Miss Maria shot me a glare. Do you have a problem? No. Good. Now that you're here to stay, Lily, why don't you show Aura her room? I would be happy to. I'll do it. Baby Bear quickly cut her off, rendering the doll speechless. Isn't that a surprise? It's not very often that Deon volunteers for something. In fact, the last time he volunteered for something was... Miss Maria did not finish her thought, sharp eyes glaring at Baby Bear. Baby Bear stood up straighter. I keep hitting the button. I've changed, Miss Maria. Besides, I'd do anything for a lovely lady like her. I hope you won't give her any trouble, brother. Baby Bear and Mama Bear silently looked at each other. I felt the tension building in the room. I won't. Come on, love. I'll show you to your room. I frowned at his new nickname for me. Why? You seemed to like the bear earlier. I followed Baby Bear, but not before taking a glance at Mama Bear, who seemed to be worried about something. If that was If what Miss Maria said was true, then I should probably be careful around helpful Deon. Deon led me into the hallway, and well, I was supposed to be the one following him, but because of his small size, he also had small steps. I had to stop from time to time to wait for him. Deon, can I carry you instead? Why? Do you really want to touch me that badly? I saw that coming. Well, I do want to squeeze you because you look so soft and fluffy. But don't you think it'd be faster if I carry you while you show me the way? No offense. Deon tilted his head as if thinking, you have a point, I suppose. I bent down and he hopped into my arms. Ho 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 ho. That's super cute. Oh my god. Oh, off the screen. Just as I thought, you really are soft and fluffy. I squeeze him harder. Careful, love, you'll ruin the fur. Sorry. But it definitely feels nice to be hugged, although I wish I could also feel your warmth. I stared at him, not understanding what he meant. Am I cold? Not really, it's just that we're toys. We can no longer feel. I wish I could still recall what it's like to feel anything. Physically, that is. Interesting. Imagine falling in love with a teddy bear. It's a classic, tale as old as time. The atmosphere grew heavy. All of them were like this because of the curse. It must have been really hard for everyone. Disliking this awkward silence, I switched the subject. Miss Maria implied Deon was lazy, so there was one thought I could not resolve. If there's a reason why you volunteered, is there a reason why you volunteered to escort me? Perhaps you have an ulterior motive? Of course not. I would never have an ulterior motive. It's just my life has been pretty uneventful these last 7 years. But now that you're here, I have someone else to talk to, other than family. Things will finally get interesting. Ooh, will they? So you have an ulterior motive. Deon smiled, somehow innocent and devilish at devilish at the same time. I wouldn't call it an ulterior motive. Okay, never mind. Anyways, we're here. This will be your room from now on. It's nothing fancy, but I hope you like it. It's nothing fancy. My eyes widened at the sight in front of me. The room was simply gorgeous. It was covered with lavish decor, paintings, and ornate frames on the walls, and several tabletop figurines. The giant bed in the middle of the room looked so inviting, especially after such a hard day. Calling it fancy would be an understatement. I'm sure that you're tired after that long journey. I shall take my leave so you can have your rest. He patted my arm and pointed down. I obliged, and he hopped out of my arms once I knelt low enough. Thank you. Deon gave one last wave before leaving me in my new room. Bye, Deon. I plopped down onto the bed, the soft mattress almost too comfortable. It's true that I was tired from that long trek through the forest, but taking in everything that the Deluxe family had told me drained me both physically and mentally. I'm stuck here with a 7-year-old curse that I can't just sit here and do nothing. But I can't. Mother, it might take a while before I can fulfill my dream. Because before I can reach it, I must first find a way to break an impossible curse. Classic. She's like, now I've got to figure this out. Didn't it show a teddy bear last time? That just showed her. I stared at the beautiful flowers and bushes around me and let out a long sigh. It had been 5 days and I was still on the Deluxe estate. Sitting in the garden somehow made me feel trapped, and suddenly the thought of never leaving this place again became a lot more real. I won't be able to follow my dreams and become a chef. I started to hiccup. At Glendale, if I can't break the curse, oh my goodness. I would die of old age and boredom surrounded by nothing but toys. There's no way I'm staying here while a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity passes me by. I would say being stuck here is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity since you're in a house full of bears. Seems like that doesn't happen every day. I'll go ask Miss Maria and the others if there's any way for this curse to break. But my hope died at the reminder that they were still cursed after 7 whole years. That meant they still hadn't found a way to break it. Sulking, I touched a few flowers, stroking their petals with my fingers. The sun was out, but I felt cold and dismissive. Yes, those are our new emotes. We got them now. We're fancy. I'm doomed then. I stood up to leave, but a voice stopped me in my tracks. Oi. I looked down to see Deon sneaking into the garden, frantically searching as though he was trying to hide from someone. It was quite a comical sight, especially considering the fact that he was actually a toy bear. I would have laughed if it weren't for the desperate look he gave me. You're so cute. Aw, man. I might make some modifications to some of them because they are so small. Hi, Jay! That you can't see all their features. I made all the emotes with her face on them because that's hang on, that's I just cut her down to size, so. I would have laughed if it wasn't for the desperate look he gave me. Deon, what on earth are you doing? Hiding from the demon? The demon? Also known as Miss Maria. Holding hands? Oh, right. Is she really that dangerous? Uh-huh. You don't want to come across her when she's mad. He was not wrong. My cheeks throbbed at the reminder of her fury. I like Baby Bear. He's the flirty one, so I feel like I'm gonna like him too. Don't just stand there. Help me! No way. I remembered Miss Maria saying Deon never volunteered to help and suddenly had suspicions Deon was guilty of something. What? You dug your own grave and I'm not planning to share it with you. I'd rather not involve myself in your mess. Thank you very much. But Deon gazed at me with his puppy dog eyes, silently pleading with me to help him out. I looked away. That won't work on me, Baby Bear. Please? I glanced at him and he continued looking at me with his sad, sad eyes. I bit my lower lip. Why did he have to be so cute? Fine. Yes! Deon shouted in victory. He was such a sly little bear. I couldn't help but smile at him. There you are. We both froze, eventually gathering enough courage to turn towards the sound of the voice. Royal strolled towards us with his arms folded over his chest, looking annoyed. Very annoyed. Ha, it's just you, Royal. You gave me quite a scare. Oh, you should be scared. All right, I'm handing you over to Miss Maria. What? Royal effortlessly picked Deon up in his arms, ignoring Deon's constant thrashing as he sauntered back to the house. And he completely ignored me. Let me, gold old man. Don't you dare hand me over to her, Royal snorted. It's either you or me, and I'd rather save myself from her. How could you betray your best friend like this? Royal stopped and stared hard at Deon. I was expecting to hear a retort from Royal like he always does with Deon, but instead he let out an exasperated sigh and put him down. Well, this best friend of yours has been in too much trouble covering for you. Deon snorted this time. Soul always gets away with it. Because he's the master of the house. Idiot. Which reminds me, I got my nails done yesterday, that's why I had to leave early. But I forgot they're sharp again, so I've scratched myself twice. So if you see any red marks on my face, it's me. I did it to myself. Deon flinched at his words. I blinked. I could not explain it, but I felt strange, like there was a story behind Royal's statement, not just the insult. However, the moment was fleeting, whatever shadow that seemed to be lifted away. What you did to Miss Maria was stupid and dangerous. I really admire your guts. Deon smiled at him, his tension gone too. That's why you adore me so much, right? Right? Royal gave him a disgusted look and kicked his side. Hey! I bit back my laughter. So this is how butlers treat their masters nowadays, huh? How amusing. But then again, seeing the two of them like this really is entertaining. Sometimes it seems like all they do is argue with each other, but I think the truth is they actually really, really are close, even if they don't want to admit it. You. I straightened myself and Royal thrusted a paw in my direction. He's like that. My smile faded at his harsh tone. What are you smiling at? Nothing, Mr. Grumpy Bear. Royal shot me a glare but didn't say anything more. He turned to Deon once again. Go now before I change my mind. I knew you couldn't resist it. Deon beamed at him and then turned the charming smile on me. Let's go, love. Oh my, he just keeps calling me love. I was unsure of what I was supposed to do next. When I looked at Royal, he gave me a nod, a silent gesture telling me to help Deon. I scooped Deon into my arms and bolted from the garden. You owe me big time for this. How about a kiss from yours truly? I groaned, rounding the side of the mansion. No thanks. Why? I'm sure you'll love it. Just tell me where we're supposed to hide before the demon nanny of yours finds us. Deon was silent for a moment before finally saying that he knew the perfect place. Are we going to go visit Goldie now? The blushes, yeah. I just don't think that a bear can blush when it's made out of stuffing. He urged me to hurry, and soon I was running through the mansion. Remind me why I agreed to do this again? Because you couldn't resist my charms? I didn't argue. I didn't argue anymore. Right. What did you do anyway? Well, I may or may not have poured a bucket of water over Miss Maria. You know how it is with cats and water. I shuddered, fearing Miss Maria's wrath now that I'd helped the criminal involved. Why would you ever do that? He just shrugged nonchalantly as though dumping water on Miss Maria was something that he did every day. I was bored, wanted to do something fun. I was getting tired of playing with Royal, and Miss Maria was the first one I saw. You know what happens next. That probably wasn't a very smart thing to do. But I don't think I'm in any position to scold you, because I've done the same thing before. I didn't think Miss Maria deserved the same fate as the pervert from my last job, but I didn't have a chance to elaborate. Well, what did you do? What did you know? What do you know? Great minds think alike after all. We're definitely perfect for each other. Look, Deon's like, he's ready. You mean I'm perfect to become your owner? I meant as my soulmate. I did not expect Deon to be so matter-of-fact when he replied that I almost sputtered my reply and managed to speak clearly. And how did you even come up with that conclusion, Mr. Bear? He lifted his head proudly as he spoke. My gut feeling. Sometimes I don't know if I consider him crazy or delusional. Two things can be true. Probably the latter. I quickly decided before changing the subject. So you and Royal are best friends, huh? Sometimes, although we're enemies most of the time. I guess you could call us frenemies? You know, like friends, but enemies? I gave him an odd look. You two sure are weird. So we're told. Here we are. Big double doors. He indicated a door with his paw. It had and handed me a small key. I don't know even want to know where he kept it this whole time. I opened the door and ducked inside. Oh! I thought we were going to end up in Goldie's room. My eyes widened when I saw a piano sitting in the center of the room. This must be the conservatory. I take a step back as a familiar pain begins in my chest. We're safe now. How can you be so sure? I just know that we are. I shuddered inwardly. I just hope I won't be involved in the mess, but he put himself into. But then again, I did help him hide from Miss Maria, so that makes me his accomplice. I looked at the piano once again, and the heavy feelings swelled in my chest. I will myself to shut off the painful memories of the past. Please. Not now. Do you like music, Aura? I flinched, but then tried to smile away my discomfort. Why do you ask? No reason. I just noticed the look in your eyes. I blinked. Oh. I mean, I don't even know what the truth is, so. Well, my father was a musician. Was a musician? Don't tell me I'm afraid so. That's why I'm not fond of the piano anymore, because it reminds me of him. It brings back a lot of sad memories about how he died. Did the piano fall on him? I'm sorry to hear that, love. For me, music brings back good memories. Strange, isn't it? My mom loved playing the piano, so every time I come here, it reminds me of the happy moment of our family shared while my mom was still alive. Deon hopped up onto the bench and gently stroked the lid of the keys. Over the keys, his expression wistful. Our father was always so cheerful and kind before Mom died. Of course, I'm the only one who remembers because Soul and Gold were still too young at the time. And the father they came to know was already the cold and heartless one. I'm just rambling now, aren't I? But it's just, I find it easy to talk to you, Aura. It's as if I just found a long-lost friend. I smiled at him, stepping closer to the piano. It seems like you had a lot of fun back then. I did. If only I could turn back time. Deon was silent for a while. So you don't hate music then? Not really. I just tend to avoid anything related to it whenever possible. I just look the other way. I run away from the sound of music. I see, so there's still hope then. Deon beamed bright as the sunlight. Eh? For you to like music once again. I promise you when I turn back to a human once again, I'll play a very special song for you. You play the piano. He just literally started to glow. Sure do. If my paws functioned the same as human fingers, then I would have already played one for you. Right now, I can only play a couple notes at a time. I do hope I still remember how to play it, though. Deon stared at his paws wistfully. This room is my special place, You're the first to come here after we were cursed, because, besides me, of course. It's been locked since Mother died, and I'm the only one with the key. Really? I'm afraid so. Oh, I know! This really is our secret place from now on. I don't think I'm worthy enough to be here. You're special, Aura. For me, that's why I want to share this place with you. This bear is in love with us. He cast a glance at the piano, his eyes filled with longing. I almost reached out to pat his head, but I stopped myself. So I'm a special friend then? Probably. Or perhaps you want it to be something more, love? He grinned at me. I groaned inwardly. It didn't feel quite right when a teddy bear flirted with me. Screenshotting this, hang on. At least she admits it's weird. Forget I asked. Deon chuckled beside me. I couldn't help but smile. Music. Father always told me that music made his life full of color. I believe that too. But when he and Mom left me, my life became dull. I saw things in monochrome. Looking at Deon and his cheerful and optimistic self, I couldn't help but feel like my life might have a splash of color once again. There we go. Now we're on the bear route. Woohoo! Another day passed and I was no closer to breaking the curse, so I went to one place where I was hoping to find some answers. That does remind me, I added some things in channel points, so we have hydrate, stretch, and lose the glasses, which is expensive and it's gonna stay expensive. Also, pick a game for me, so if someone has a game they want to play, they can now make suggestions on here. The library. Books do hold important information, right? Maybe I'll find something. Anything. Royal was arranging some books when I got here. Hi, chat. Hi, Leah. Hi, Tarp. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I felt intimidated being in the same room with him, but for my sake and theirs, I endured this grumpy bear's presence. I began browsing through the shelves. The tables I'm using is now piled with books that held no clue to breaking the curse. What sort of book would have information on breaking spells anyways? Fairy tales? Perhaps Gold is the princess and she's just waiting for a kiss from a prince? This is hopeless. I slumped on the table and frowned. Hey, you better make sure you put those books back where they belong. I scowled at him. I will, Mother. Royal went back to what he was doing, but not before giving me a deadly glare. I wondered how Deon was able to get along with him. He was moody, grumpy, and scary, the complete opposite of Deon. So how did you and Deon become best friends anyway? None of your concern, girl. And he brushed me off just like that. I took a deep breath and tried again. But you are his friend, right? Or so he claims. Are you not? Royal stopped what he was doing, his shoulders relaxing. A mere butler like me didn't deserve his friendship, yet he still offered it to me. He treats me as an equal, not as a servant. Seems like he's just one lonely fellow. That's why he even has me as a friend. I was surprised that Royal revealed so much when he was this reserved and grumpy. You think Deon is lonely? Thinking of Deon's bright and cheerful attitude, it was hard to imagine that he was lonely. But then again, anyone could mask loneliness with a smile. Probably. Lord Sol and Deon used to be close together, that. Royal quickly stopped himself and glared at me. You weren't supposed to hear that. Eh? Don't you dare say a single word about this to him. I raised my hands in surrender. It's fine. I won't. Jeez. Sol and Deon used to be close. It's only natural since they are brothers, so why have they become so distant? I shook my head. I was supposed to focus on breaking the curse, not meddling in the personal affairs. I resumed to search for the clues to no avail. Seemed like the library is now off of my list. I did not expect to find an easy answer. The disappointment weighed heavily in my chest. I went back to my room defeated. There you are, love. I noticed Deon standing outside my door, obviously waiting for me. Hey there, Deon. And will you please stop calling me that? I thought he would stop using the nickname after a while, but it seems like it has become his favorite word since I came here. You don't like that name? How about Honey then? Ooh, or perhaps you'd prefer me calling you Darling? Only if your name's Alan. I groaned, touching my fingers to my temples. I don't want you. I almost did it. I would hurt myself. I don't want your weird nicknames. I simply want to be called by my name. But everyone already calls you that. Protested. I almost giggled when he puffed out his fuzzy cheeks. You're special to me. That's why I want to call you something special as well. I felt an impending headache. Deon continued talking, oblivious to my frown. Which reminds me, Deon glanced around as if making sure that we were alone. I raised a brow at him, wondering what he was up to this time. When he spoke again, his voice was low. Meet me here tonight. Why is that? It's a surprise. Just promise you'll be here, okay? I stared at him for a long time, thinking back from the moment where he asked me to hide him from Miss Maria. One couldn't hide from her forever, especially if we were living under the same roof as her. I was spared from her wrath, but I didn't think I would be lucky the second time. You're not planning to do something stupid again, are you? Because if you are, I don't want to get involved this time. Of course not. I won't do anything to hurt you, my love. Ah, it seems like both of you are getting along well. I turned and saw Sol walking towards us, greeting us with his usual warm smile. Yes, we're getting along well, really well, right, love? I apologize for my big brother. If my big brother gets you in trouble, he's really good at it. He gave me an apologetic smile. I suspect that Sol's comment was meant to be a joke, but somehow I felt like Sol was serious about what he said. Deon scowled at his brother. Hey, I'm not getting anyone into trouble. Sol sighed, touching a paw to his forehead. Just don't involve Lady Aura with our mess. We've already involved enough people with this curse. This silenced Deon, his expression darkened at Sol's words. Seeing how I've never witnessed this side of Deon before, what was happening must be really serious. Sol stared at him, his expression unreadable because he's a teddy bear. Was it sadness? Regret? Anger? The two of them used to be close according to royals, so what could have possibly broken their bond? I was curious, but thought it best to keep to myself. I was in no position to ask that personal question, especially when I was just an outsider here. If you'll excuse me, I have some clothes to sew. At these words, I couldn't keep quiet any longer. You sew? I was so surprised by my own question that I quickly covered my mouth with my hand. But Sol chuckled slightly with his face bright red, causing the heavy atmosphere to finally lighten up. I do. That's amazing. Can I see your work? Perhaps. I can show you some of them to you someday. Yay! Sol coughed into his paw. Well then, I'll see you both around. I hope you're comfortable with your stay here, my lady. I am, thank you. Sol smiled at me, then his gaze shifted to Deon, who was still silent. Sol, I like the way he just like yeeted out of the screen. He's like, whoop. Sol looked like he wanted to say something, but then he shook his head and finally left. Deon let out a long sigh, as though he had been holding his breath the entire time. If only I had the courage to tell him the truth. Oh? Deon flinched. I was probably not supposed to hear that. Sorry, I was talking to myself. Are you alright? Yes. I'm fine. I did not believe him, but I was not sure how to respond. I better leave now as well. Don't forget to meet me here tonight. Sure. Deon scurried away without another word, and just picture a little, like, pause, like, as they run away. What was that all about? I remembered Sol is the heir of the family, but firstborn sons were supposed to hold that title. Why isn't it Deon? Could the family title be the reason why they're so distant with each other? So many questions swam in my head, refusing to leave without an answer. But the problem was, I didn't have even one. What have I gotten myself into? I touched my locket for comfort. Is it warm again? Mother, I I hope I'll get the answers I need soon. Going on a date with a teddy bear. I stood on my tiptoes and tried to walk as quietly as I could, but a chef is never trained to sneak around mansions in the middle of the night. How did I get into this mess again? What is this surprise you're talking about? I want you to come meet someone special. Deon has someone he considers special, huh? Could it be Lily? It couldn't be since I've already met her. But why do we have to do this in the middle of the night? What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell, love? Perhaps we should go visit my sister some other day. I'm finally going to meet Gold? Hurry up, Aura. Don't keep... Deon kept his voice low and I tried to do the same. Ugh. Don't you want to meet my sister? Maybe. I'd love to meet your sister, but why are we going now of all times? It's the middle of the night. Can't I just meet her the normal way? Sneaking out like this feels like I'm doing something illegal. If Royal finds out, he'll be angry, and I know you won't like it if he gets angry. He turns into the Hulk, he starts throwing things, the house will be in shambles. It has to be now. All this time, I was worried that Miss Maria would be the one to get angry at us, but instead it was Royal's wrath I should be worried about. But why would he be angry? I shook my head. There were too many questions waiting on me for answers? I think it meant weighing, right? There were too many questions weighing on me for answer instead of waiting on me. Am I wrong? Then again, it might be fun to torment Royal a little bit. He's been moody lately. I frowned at Deon's chuckle. Did he take anything seriously? Deon, when will you ever become a more mature and responsible person? Deon froze. I obviously hit a sore spot. Responsible, huh? Deon mumbled. He stayed quiet with a thoughtful look on his face. I fidgeted in the silence, almost regretting my words. At last he spoke. Everyone has been telling me that. Deon smiled, and I was surprised with his sudden change of mood. But if that's what you wish, I will try to be more mature. But I'm only doing it for you. I rolled my eyes. Yeah, that's maturity right there. Give me some credit, will you? I've been this way for a long time. It's hard to change personalities overnight. You do have a point, I suppose. Good. I'm glad you think so. I didn't say anything else, following Deon and wondering what happened to him in the past. His carefree attitude and immaturity. It was as if those traits were just a facade to hide who he really is. We're here. Deon pointed at a large double doors. I carefully opened it and tiptoed into her room, remembering to close the door behind us. Aura, meet my sister, Gold. Gold, this is Aura. The music stopped so sudden. Deon gestured at the lovely porcelain doll sitting on a velvet seat. It's a pleasure to meet you, Gold. I paused, expecting her to answer like the others, but she remained silent. I suddenly remembered what they mentioned before about her being a lifeless doll. Beautiful, isn't she? I just wish that I could hear her voice again. She's my precious little sister, and yet I couldn't do anything to protect her from this curse. This is the first time Deon has looked so angry and frustrated. He must love his sister very dearly. Don't blame yourself, Deon. It wasn't your fault. It seems like I'm not really capable of protecting anyone. But then I guess the curse has its perks because Gold is safe now that he's not here. There was anger in his voice as he spoke. Who was Deon talking about? Their father? I crunched when my locket burned against my chest again. I yanked it from under my shirt and stared at it, expecting it to be cold just like before, but it remained strangely hot in my palm. My heart. Did you hear that? Hear what? I stayed silent and listened, but the voice never came back. It must have been my imagination. Deon gasped when he caught sight of the locket. That locket. It looks like the one Gold had. Where'd you get it? My mother gave it to me. She told me to keep it until I met a certain person. Deon's brow quirked as if he did not quite believe me, but he didn't argue. A certain person? Yes. But I have no idea who she meant. Can I see it? Of course. I took the necklace off and offered it to him. My neck felt a little bare after wearing it for so long. Deon tried to pry it open with his paws, but the locket wouldn't budge. It was already broken when she gave it to me, so it's impossible to open it. There's so much rust. I leaned closer, staring at the locket. It was always a bit rusty, but it didn't have that much rust on it before. Deon stared at it for a long time. Why do I get a feeling that this... Before he continued what he was about to say, he shook his head and sighed. Impossible. I'm sure there are many shops that sells lockets like this one. I was about to ask what he meant when a knock caught both of us by surprise. It's Royal, quick! We must hide. I opened my mouth to ask how he knew it was Royal, but then thought better of it. If Royal heard me now, we would both be in big trouble. Great. I'm starting to think like Deon. I looked around wildly. Where could I hide? Deon was small. He could fit anywhere, but I, on the other hand... I'm gonna go with the wardrobe because that sounds bigger. Spotting the perfect hiding place, I pulled the wardrobe door open with one hand and stumbled inside, closing it behind me. Deon's paws rested against my leg. I held my breath as I heard the door to Gold's room open. He's hiding under my legs. Without warning, Deon reached a paw over and opened the wardrobe door a crack. Deon, what do you think you're doing? We'll get caught. I want to see if Royal will do something different today. Something different? What did he mean by that? I bit back a retort. I had to admit that I was rather curious too. Tentatively, I peeked out to get a better look. Royal was kneeling in front of Gold, with an unreadable expression on his face, but his words were filled with emotion. Gold, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Why is he? After another few minutes passed, Royal finally left the room. I stepped out of my hiding place when I was sure that he was not coming back. That guy, he does that every day. Sometimes I wonder why Gold hasn't gotten tired of hearing him say those words. Assuming that she can hear us, that is. I wasn't sure what to make of Deon's words. They carried that gentle humor he used with Royal, but there was something sad in his voice too. Did something happen between them? Well, it depends on what you mean by something. For starters, he had a crush on her since we were young. Okay. I wasn't sure if Deon was even supposed to tell me this. I felt like I just discovered a really dark secret. Is it dark? If Royal knew, he would surely get angry. I promised her before that he would be He promised her before that he would be her knight in shining armor. Stupid, right? Now he blames himself for Gold's curse because he couldn't protect her. He failed to fulfill his promise. Protect the person you care about isn't stupid at all. I smiled to myself. There used to be people who protected me once upon a time, but now... I closed my eyes and willed the pain to go away. I am not about to burst into tears in front of Deon. I think it's rather sweet. I don't think I've ever rendered him speechless, but there he was, staring at me with his wide, surprised eyes made of glass. We should go before anyone finds us here, right? And in case I ever forget, do remind me not to sneak into someone's room again. Deon laughed. But that would take away the fun, don't you think? Your idea of fun is more dangerous than anything else. Deon shrugged. I like the challenge. We finally bid each other goodnight and I turned to the direction of my room. But Deon dashed back over to me and touched a paw to my leg, stopping me in my tracks. Give me your hand, Aura. Puzzled, I held my hand out to him. He took my pinky and shook it. What's this about? I thought about what you said before. You're right, protecting someone you care about isn't stupid at all. I, of all people, should know that. I apologize for what I said earlier. I shook my head at him. There's nothing to apologize for, Deon. I'm really happy that you came into our lives, Aura. It's as if you brought color into my dull life once again. Somehow, you've given me hope. My eyes widened in surprise. I thought the exact same thing about him before. That's why I will do my best to protect your precious smile. This will be my promise to you to always make you happy. This time, I will surely keep it. This time. I appreciate your thoughtfulness, Deon. I was really touched by his words and could not help but smile. He suddenly looked at me more serious. I like you, Aura. I smiled warmly, resting my hand on his paw. Oh my god, I like you too, Deon. That's not what I meant. I like you as in I'm in love with you. My jaw dropped at his sudden confession and I quickly let out a laugh to cover my surprise. Very funny, Deon. You really are a joker. I expected him to burst into fits of laughter, but he frowned, still dead serious. I frowned back at him until I realized realization dawned on me. You're not joking. Deon nodded. I didn't know what to say. It's not every day a toy bear confesses to you, after all. I was imagining things. Living here with toys for company must be driving me crazy. I really like you, Aura. In fact, I may have fallen in love with you since the day I first saw you, and I'd like nothing more than for you to marry me someday. The image of me marrying a teddy bear popped into my head, and I had to bite back a smile. I really am going nuts. I bent down and patted his head. Do you even know what you're saying, Deon? Humans can't marry toys. Technically, I'm a human who was turned into a toy, so I'm still human. I've been with all of them for more than 3 weeks already, but somehow the thought of them as humans still felt unreal. Deon pouted, his whole body drooping. You hate me, Aura. Flinching, I quickly shook my head. No, I said I like you. Of course not. Then be my wife. It's not. Deon, that's manipulation. That's not how that works. You don't just marry someone because that's not... Please? Isn't that a bit too fast? Besides, we only just met a few weeks ago. I've always dreamed of marrying a handsome prince ever since I was young, but never did I imagine that the one day I'd end up marrying a toy, but he is a prince. He won't be able to say no once I turn back into a human. Are you sure you even know what you're saying? Of course I do. I'm perfectly sober. I groaned inwardly. He really was persistent. I let out a sigh and patted his head once again. Then you can try to make me fall for you, though I'm warning you, I'm pretty hard to please. He beamed at me, looking more happy than I had ever seen him since the first I came here. He beckoned to me to come closer. I lowered my hand, wondering what he was going to do. What are you... He didn't give me a chance to finish, leaning forward and kissing me on the mouth. I love you, Aura. Ugh, you. My first kiss. Wait, does that even count? I remember kissing my toys when I was little and laughed at the thought. This definitely does not count at all. I have a request. Even though I dismissed the kiss from counting, I still glared at Deon for what he did. What is it? Deon looked at the floor and began fidgeting with his paws. Can you accompany me tonight? Are we murdering somebody? What? I don't have any bad intentions. Please, at least until I fall asleep. I really don't want to tell you this, but I've been having nightmares for the past few days, and I know that I have someone with me. And I know knowing I have someone with me will make me feel better. Deon tilted his head back, staring with pleading eyes, and for the first time, I saw fear and sadness in him. I was still unhappy about the kiss, but I decided to give them the benefit of the doubt. All right, but just this once. Thank you. You guys see what his room looks like? Oh. Modern. Deon's room was just as gorgeous as and even larger than my own. I sat down on a sofa, making myself comfortable as he sauntered towards his bed. I know I've been asking so much of you, Aura, so I cut him off. No need for explanations or apologies. You're my friend, Deon. You all are, so if staying here makes you feel better, then I'll be more than happy to help you. Thank you. Deon was silent before he turned to me with a somber expression. Can I say something, Aura? You don't have to do anything except listen. Of course. Wait, what? I've never talked about this with anyone else, not even my brother. But with you, it feels like I can tell you anything. Ah, there's a hair, like I said, still in my eye. Alright. Mother. She's the one I could always talk to. That's why when she passed away, I kept everything to myself. I was puzzled. Soul, Gold, and Royal have always been by your side. Deon slowly shook his head for a moment. He seemed far away. No. This burden is mine to carry alone, and I won't let anyone get hurt because of me again. Deon. I miss her. Even after all these years. After her death, all my father cared about was wealth and status. He became so blinded by power that I barely recognized him anymore. He was no longer the father I knew and loved. His expression darkened, he paused, hesitating, then started to speak. I know you've been wondering why Soul is the heir and not me. I could only nod in response. I was originally the heir of the family. I was only 10 when my father officially announced that I would inherit that title. Believe it or not, I took it seriously and I worked so hard to please him. If not, we would suffer the consequences, and I'd rather take the punishment alone than have Soul and Gold be blamed for my mistakes. I strolled over to the bed and sat on the edge so I could squeeze his hand, his paw. It's not a hand. I thought the dog was in here with me just a second. I thought I heard her whine. She might be at the bedroom door. I never imagined that Deon had such a rough childhood, especially since he always had such a happy-go-lucky, carefree personality. Deon squeezed back. I used to be so close to Soul and Gold. The three of us were inseparable, but we started to grow apart after I inherited the title. I became the perfect son my father wanted me to be. I gained power and respect, but it made me lose the people who were most important to me. One time I snuck out of my lessons just so I could play with Soul and Gold. My teacher got so angry, his face flushed red as a tomato. Deon laughed as he recalled those memories. But then Father also got mad. That was the last time I ever played with them. I wish I could have done something different back then. I really miss my baby sister, but I can't let her see how things have gotten worse between Soul and I. So if this curse ends, how do I face her? Deon. Deon didn't answer my question, and I realized that he had already fallen asleep. I gingerly stroked his head. My eyes softened in understanding as I watched Deon's small frame sleeping on such a big bed. He looked so vulnerable and lonely. He never got the chance to tell me why Soul was the heir, and what was going on between them. Deon. Even though he really told me this much, I know in my heart that he carries a heavy burden. I can only imagine how wicked his father was. I wonder the toy maker punished him. Why involve the whole family as well? Deon doesn't deserve this. This conversation just made things even more complicated by adding more unanswered questions to my list. Deon is softly snoring now, and while I did say I would only stay until he fell asleep, I didn't have the heart to leave him in this large, empty room. Perhaps I'll stay a little longer. Aura. I frantically looked around, but I was pitch black. I couldn't see anything. Where am I? I was in Deon's room a while ago. Did I fall asleep as well? If I did, then this must be a dream. Aura. The strange voice called me once again, but this time I saw her standing just a few feet from me. A tall, beautiful woman wearing ragged cloak. Her long blonde hair cascaded down her shoulders, and her hazel eyes were gentle and warm. We finally meet. Huh? I tried to think of who this woman could be. I was sure that she was not Gold. I saw her pictures around the house, and they looked nothing like this woman. I caught a glimpse of a teddy bear charm dangling on her belt, and my jaw dropped in understanding. You're the toy maker. She smiled and nodded. Then please undo the curse. They've been suffering for 7 years. Isn't that more than enough? Her smile faded. It's true that I was the one who gave them the curse, but I simply cannot undo it. It is they who must break it, not me. Their father may be dead, but so long as Gold's heart isn't returned to her, then they will remain as toys. I tightened my hands into fist. How could she not understand that they already suffered long enough because of their father's mistakes? They didn't deserve to suffer like this. I couldn't hide my anger anymore. How did you expect them to find her heart if they're stuck in this cursed mansion? That's the reason why I led you here. Her comment surprised me. I stumbled back a couple steps. What are you talking about? I wanted to teach their father a lesson. That's why I gave them this curse in hopes that he would change. It was a shame, though, because he had such amazing children, each special in their own way. Yet he chose to bind their wings instead of let them fly. The oldest one is bright and talented boy, presented here with a problem, and he could solve it without complaint. I've not seen such a reliable boy in a long time. Everyone sees Deon as a lazy slacker, and honestly, that's how I saw him as well until everything he told me today. That must be the reason why he acts like that. And I have a strong feeling that it has something to do with their father. To keep it safe, I placed Gold's heart in that locket around your neck. My hand automatically reached for my locket, feeling it burn in my palm. That locket belonged to Goldilocks. She gave it to your mother as a parting gift. I didn't curse her like the others. Instead, I sent her home, taking away her memory of the Deluxe. I wanted to give the Lord of the Deluxe time to think about his mistake and learn from them. Unfortunately, he didn't. Instead, he led himself to his grave by attempting to escape the mansion. She paused a moment, watching me take the story in. When your mother passed away, you became the only person left who can help break the Deluxe curse. But you were still suffering from grief during that time, so I had to wait until your heart was healed before I sent you here. After all, you can't help heal a broken heart when yours is broken as well. She was right. When Mother died, I was lost and in despair. I didn't know what to do. It took me almost a year to live normal again. Tell me, how do we break the curse? The curse was supposed to be lifted if the locket came within the same room as Gold. But I was just there in Gold's room, so why didn't it work? Look at the locket. What do you see? I gasped. I didn't recognize it before, but now that I knew Gold's heart was within it, I understood. It has so much rust. That's right. Gold is a pure metal. It will definitely tarnish over time, but it should not have rusted. A heart in this house has wished for the curse to remain. Its emotional turmoil was tangled in the curse, and the locket was been affected. I remembered what Deon said earlier about not wanting Gold to see them like this, that could be the reason why he wanted the curse to stay. When you went into Gold's room, Deon's heart thinks that Gold is safe with the curse. But now it seems like he's beginning to doubt his heart. She smiled again, softer than before. It's up to you to completely undo the curse. I panicked when the toy maker's body slowly began to fade away. How am I supposed to do that? She still smiled at me. In order to break the curse, something must be repaired first. I opened my eyes and I cringed when the bright light welcomed me. I blinked a few times to clear my vision, and that's when I realized I was still in Deon's room. Warm fingers slowly laced with my own, and I let myself relish the comfort it gave me. It took me a while to realize that it's a hand I didn't recognize at all. What the? Look at him! He's so pretty. What the heck? My brain ceased to function at the sight of what greeted me. It's gotta be the necklaces, right? It's the strands around his neck. It just makes him look extra cute. I could only stare, my cheeks heating up with embarrassment. There was a man, a very good-looking man at that, who was most certainly not Deon, sleeping sound on the bed, his hands holding mine. I quickly tried to pull my hand free, but his grip only tightened. Don't go. Dear beloved Mother in Heaven, what have I done? I just slept next to a man I've never met before. Desperate, I tugged my hand again, and a soft groan escaped from his lips. Oh, look at his eyes! He's got snake boy eyes! His eyes fluttered open, revealing a set of beautiful brown eyes. Those are not brown. You and I have different agreements on what brown looks like. He smiled at me as though we had known each other for a long time. Aura, good morning. I didn't know you were still here. I could only gasp in response. Why are you staring at me like you've never met before? Because we haven't. Who are you? What are you doing in Deon's bed? I realized that Deon was also nowhere to be found, and then began to really panic. The man raised a brow. Also, put a pin in that. It's been 7 years. They have been turned into animals, and now they are back, and it did establish in the previous story that they did age 7 years. His clothes should not be fitting so well. The man raised a brow, looking even more confused. Then his gaze shifted to our entangled hands. His eyes widened in wonder as he stared from our hands to me. I don't have paws anymore, Aura. Realization dawned on him. You're Deon? Deon nodded enthusiastically and pulled me against his chest in a hug. Wait, I need a CG of that. I can't believe this, Aura. The spell must have been broken, and yet... As his warm body enveloped mine, my heart began to race at the intimacy of his hug. My normal reaction would have been to push him away, but my mind was too preoccupied by other things, mostly with how this happened. It's up to you to completely undo the curse. The familiar voice rang in my head. My eyes widened in realization. That means the toy maker really did appear in my dream. And what's more, I already know how to break the curse. I was about to tell Deon what I had discovered, but he was so happy and excited that he quickly pulled me out of bed. He led us to the living room where 2 guys were seated on a sofa and appeared to be waiting for us as well. One man had the same blonde hair as Deon, but tied in a ponytail, while the other had dark skin and hair, glaring at us with silver eyes. I'm assuming they're soul and royal. Seconds later, a petite girl with pink hair and a woman with long dark hair appeared as well. All of them mirrored the same expressions. Confusion. The curse has been broken, but how? Not completely, Gold. She didn't change back to a human. But what could have possibly changed us back then? She's like, I know. I took a deep breath and began to tell them about my dream and my encounter with the toy maker. But I left the part out about a troubled heart and messing with a curse. I did not want anyone assuming the curse was Deon's fault. There was still mystery to uncover before I would reveal that information. I knew it. That locket did belong to Gold. So how are we supposed to completely break the curse? Break the locket as well? Might end up destroying Gold's heart as well, so it's off the list. I opened my mouth, almost about to tell them how, but I caught sight of Deon, who seemed so deep in thought. I still chose to keep quiet about it, remembering that Deon didn't want everyone to know about his burdens. In the end, they decided the toy maker might appear in my dreams again, and we should patiently wait for that moment. But I knew that I wouldn't be seeing her anytime soon. He just stands like this all the time. A few days have passed since then. I tried to find clues that might break the curse soon. I went to Seoul first. I knew that Royal would only send me away. I became the heir because our father announced that my brother is not suited to become one. Everything changed after that night. I just realized this is line supposed to be reminiscent of like a sewing design. He started slacking off and causing trouble for everyone. If it wasn't for him, I would have... Sorry, my lady. I remember that I still have something to do. Please excuse me. He left me hanging just like that. I gathered my courage to ask Royal, since he's Deon's best friend after all, but I didn't get much from him as expected. That night, he didn't change a lot after that incident. Anyways, why are you asking me this? You shouldn't stick your nose where it doesn't belong, girl. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you guys human for the last 7 years? No, you were teddy bears, and guess what? I helped your life. If I hadn't stuck my nose, you wouldn't be here. That earned me his signature glare before he shooed me off. Both of them mentioned something about that night, but didn't clarify any details about what really happened. Lily and Miss Maria were too busy, and I couldn't find a perfect time to talk to them. What is it that troubles Deon so much? I was too busy thinking about how I could help Deon that I didn't notice someone was calling my name. Miss Aura! I stopped in my tracks and whirled towards the source of the voice. Lily? She looked worried and scared, and the urgency in her voice meant something bad had happened. What's wrong? It's, what happened? Deon and Royal got into a fight. It's horrible. Hurry! I ran after her, filled with worry for Royal and Deon, though I have to admit that I was a tad more concerned for the latter. Wink, 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 wink. Oh. When we arrived at the garden, my mouth dropped open in shock. The two were covered in dirt, and judging from the disheveled appearances, I was sure that they indeed had a rough fight. Royal? What's up with that face? Also, his eyes look more brown now. They were glaring at each other threateningly. If looks could kill, they would both be dead right now. Sol was trying to hold Deon back while Miss Maria blocked Royal from attacking further. Enough, you two. Brother, please. We all made our own sacrifices. Don't even think about putting everything to waste. Without waiting for Deon's reply, Royal whirled around and stalked off. Deon stared after Royal for a moment before he too stormed off, pushing Sol out of the way when his brother attempted to console him. Brother, wait. This is awful, just awful. They never had a fight this bad before. I blinked, unable to think of anything to say. I knew even the best of friends could get into an argument. But when they ended up physically hurting each other, then something awful must have happened. Royal and Deon never showed up again, locking themselves in their rooms after that fight, and I was getting more worried. What was that fight all about? Maybe I should talk to them. Now, personally, I would pick talk to Deon, but it says that the right answer is Royal, so we're gonna go talk to Royal. I stared at Royal's door, having this internal debate if I should really talk with him. I was pretty sure that he would only get angry with me, but then again, he was always angry with me, so it would not make any difference. I raised my hand and was about to knock when I heard Lily. Miss Aura. Hi, Lily. If you're looking for Royal, I just saw him in the library a while ago. I gave her a grateful and prepared... I gave her a grateful smile, maybe, and prepared to dash down the hall. Miss Aura. I stopped in my tracks when she called. There was a sad expression on her face. I hope he'll talk with you. I already tried, but he only pushed me away. I nodded in understanding. He pushed Lily, whom he's known for a long time, away and would probably do the same to me. But I was determined. I also have MC vibes on my side, so... Royal! There was no answer. I searched the stacks and found him in the far corner staring out the window. Royal, can we talk? There's nothing to talk about, so just go ahead and leave. But I already expected him to refuse me, and no amount of pleading would make him talk with me. Then I remembered something that might make him talk. I know how to break the curse. Completely. This earned Royal's attention, and he finally looked at me. But to do it, I need your help. Ooh, his eyes actually like slightly closed. Okay, he glared at me. He gave me a skeptical look and did not move for what felt like an hour. Finally, he let out a sigh and leaned against the window frame. Go on, I'm listening. I told him that the Toymaker said about a troubled heart disrupting the Toymaker's curse. So Deon's inner turmoil has caused the locket to rust, and that's why it won't open? I nodded. I'm afraid so. I do know now that Deon was originally the heir, and that the title was given to Soul when their father thought Deon didn't deserve the title. But I know there's something more beyond that. Royal crossed his arms and looked away, his eyes distant and sad. I'm in no position to tell you this, but for the sake of breaking the curse, I have no choice but to do this. When I first came here, the three of them were indeed very close, especially Deon and Lord Soul. But because of that responsibility Deon had to fulfill, he hardly had any time to be with them. Their father was a cold and cruel man. You wouldn't have liked it when he was angry, for he tended to lash out at anyone, even if they were his own children. You mean... I saw Deon with new bruises every time he failed to do something. Especially when he abandoned his responsibilities just so he could spend time with Lord Soul and Gold. His brother and sister had no idea that he suffered so much from their father. My eyes widened with shock, and I felt my chest getting heavy at the thought of Deon getting physically hurt by his own father. My vision began to blur, and I blinked back tears. You haven't told Soul or Gold? Royal shook his head. I am only a household servant, and we are to keep our mouths shut about everything that we witness inside this house. And Deon also made me promise not to say anything to them. So I'm bound to that promise even now. What about me? So what happened that night? Royal looked at me, hesitation clearly written on his face. I thought he was going to shoo me away again, like he did last time, but I was surprised when he actually answered. I only heard it from the other servants, and they said that Deon humiliated his father during a meeting with their other family heads. I didn't know the other details anymore, just that after that night, their father announced Lord Soul to be their heir instead. Deon started acting like an irresponsible son. I could only imagine Deon suffering at the hands of his father and all the sacrifices he had made for Soul and Gold. Now I could understand why Soul would feel angry towards his brother. Because Deon passed that heavy burden of being the deluxe heir onto him without explaining the reason. But I was sure that there was a reason why Deon acted like that. I know how much he wanted to protect both of them. So I was sure that he wouldn't burden Soul with that title, knowing what will happen to him at the hands of their father. You're gonna talk to Deon as well, right? Maybe? Yes. Then please tell him that it's about time everyone knew the truth. What happened to your brother? What happened to both of you earlier? Go and ask him yourself. He started walking away, leaving me behind. Wait. I know he will listen to the person he's fallen in love with. I blushed hard at his words. It's hard not to notice it, especially when all he ever talks about is you and how special you are to him. Wow, imagine. With one last look at me, he finally left the room, leaving me flustered and embarrassed. What was he? And with that, he just told me, oh my god. I shook my head and tried to calm my heart. I had to focus. Now, all that left was to talk to Deon. The scene from the garden was still fresh in my mind as I snuck towards Deon's room. At this rate, I was going to become the world's best at sneaking around at night. I rolled my eyes, imagining myself on a stage with the Don't Wake Anyone Up award before shaking my head at how stupid the idea was. What could I do with such an award anyways? Work as a thief? Ridiculous. Deon, are you there? There was no reply. I huffed, intent to complete my mission. I'm coming in. I pushed the door open and poked my head inside. I found him lying on his bed, his back facing me. Deon, what do you want? I winced at his unwelcoming tone. He didn't sound very happy. It was the first time he acted this way. Are you alright? You're just like the rest of them. First off, what? I had no idea what he was talking about. Carefully, I stepped into the room and shut the door behind me. What do you mean? I'm just like the rest of them? You must think that I'm selfish. I took a deep breath. I do. Then again, aren't we all selfish to some extent? I heard him laugh. I heard him sigh. The fight was my fault. I told him to give up on my sister and move on, but then he got angry and said that I had given up hope. We don't even know if Gold is still alive. I don't know why, but anger suddenly rose within me. I marched around the bed and slapped his face. Why? It was an odd at the angle, but effective. I couldn't take this any longer, listening to him give up hope like that. It was too painful. We don't abuse people. Excuse me, Deon. Yes, it's been 7 years, but Royal hasn't lost hope, right? Then you should do the same. You're Gold's trusted and beloved big brother, aren't you? Deon blinked and stared at me with amazement. He took a deep breath. You do have a point, Aura. It's just that I felt her. And Soul, how can I still face her? Man, I don't know if we should be abusing people. I'm just gonna say this right now. I don't think physical violence to a person who was physically violent, like who had physical violence against them, is the right answer. Like, hey, don't hit him. Like, what? I take a deep breath and struck his head with a chop. Ow? What was that for? You thought of something stupid again. Everyone is doing their best to live a normal life and hope that one day the curse will be lifted. You should do the same, not just for yourself, but for everyone else as well. Gold is alive and well, patiently waiting for that day. I just know it. Deon looked at me, his features finally softening. You're right. You really are something, love. That's why I love you more each day. I don't mind hitting him at all. Asia, no! Hydrate. I will drink the water. It's not okay. We don't hit people. Like, don't hit people. You really are something. That's why I love you more each day. Thank you. I looked away to hide my embarrassment. He's like, oh my god. Deon sighed and flopped onto his back, staring at the ceiling. You see, all of this started with that stupid deal. I didn't want Soul and Gold to face the sufferings I endured back then. That's why I did my best to please my father. Sometimes people deserve it. I don't care. Like, sometimes people have to knock some sense into someone. Don't hit people, Asia. Asia, no. I did everything he told me, even if they were against my principles. I've deceived so many people for his own personal gain. I'm still gonna do it. Don't do it, Asia. I snapped that night. I just couldn't take it anymore. We were having a meeting with the family heads when my father announced that he would be offering Gold's hand to the most suitable man once she reached the right age. Gold was only 10 at the time. She was still so young. That's terrible. I knew then that I couldn't just stand in the background while my father destroyed our lives. I told everyone the monster he really was. That's really infuriated him, and that's when he made the deal with me. I would take back everything I said about him, renounce my title as the heir, and make everyone believe how incompetent and unworthy I was for that title, or else he would marry Gold off to some man. And when Soul was training for the heir position, he would not hurt my little brother if he made any mistakes. I had no choice but to do it. I wanted to spare them from the pain I suffered. I held Deon's hand to give him comfort and to let him know that I was here for him, instead of like hitting him. That's physical violence. He smiled and squeezed my hand, but I can't see the reason why you'd have to act like the irresponsible heir. He wanted to make it appear as if I deceived everyone, including himself, by acting as the perfect son so I could get the respect and power that I wanted. He needed the people to sympathize with him, and get what he wanted. Soul was then named the new heir. He knew the real reason why I was replaced, just that I was too irresponsible to be our father's successor. It's like, I'm too wild. I feared that he'd also go through what I did, but our father kept his word and didn't hurt Soul. And no doubt helped that Soul was so obedient and kind person. So this is the heavy burden he's been carrying for so many years, all for the sake of Soul and Gold. I didn't notice that the tears had been flowing down my cheeks until Deon brushed them away with his finger. I'm not worthy of your tears, love. Oh my god. This family, this poor abused family. You should have proved that you're not who everyone thinks you are. Oh, they actually have one of her crying. Hey. Deon gave me a sad smile sitting up beside me. I did, but the damage has been done. No one trusts me anymore, not even Soul. And why should he? I even ruined his dreams of becoming a dressmaker. There was even a point that I was jealous of my own brother because I kept being compared to him. I didn't want to destroy what little bonds we had left. So I avoided actually doing something to avoid the comparison. But still, your father is gone, Deon. You can now tell Soul the truth. Can you, though? I can't. Why? Because he's so pure, Soul. If he knew about the truth, he would never forgive himself for letting me carry that burden alone. I could not wait any longer. There was something Deon needed to hear. As much as it hurt to know my encouragement wasn't enough, I wasn't going to surrender. Royal has a message for you. He said it's about time you tell everyone the truth. So Surprise washed over his features, quickly replaced by guilt. Royal, you told me a little bit about your past and the bruises you bear. Get it? Because he's a bear. What? Please don't get angry at him. I was the one who insisted that Royal tell me about it. That idiot. Deon let out a long sigh, staring towards the door of his room. Since that incident, I felt so alone. That's why I went to Royal for company. We may fight most of the time, but I'm really grateful that he didn't abandon me. You're lucky to have a good friend like him. I am. I really need to apologize to him tomorrow. You better. Oh! Look at that. It's cute too. I reached for his hand and placed it on my cheek. And you've always told me that the burden you carry is yours alone, but I'm willing to share that burden with you if it means making you happy again. It hurts to see you in pain like this, Deon. I want you, Soul and Gold, to be reunited once again, just like you used to be when you were still young. Deon closed his eyes, his face contorted in pain. I don't know, Aura. I don't know if I'll still be able to fix this. I know you can, and if you can't, we're trapped like this forever, so what do you want, man? I smiled at him. In order to break the curse, something must be repaired first. Those were the Toymaker's words. You mean your bond with Soul? You have to mend it to break the curse. Go apologize to your brother. You want a happy ending. Deon was back to his usual self after that. What's more surprising was that Deon and Royal acted like their fight didn't happen, which relieved me. Deon promised me that he would try to clear things up with Soul, but there was still no progress yet. My problem right now was that Deon was still frequently flirting with me, and he even does it in front of everyone, much to my dismay. But the biggest problem was my reactions to his advances. Either my heart erratically beat against my chest or my face flushed as red as a tomato, according to Lily, whenever he said sweet words to me. I took a shirt out of the laundry basket and dipped it into the cool water. Miss Maria was busy beside me, furiously scrubbing away another shirt. She asked me to help, and I agreed without complaint. It was the least I could do after they let me live in the mansion for so long. It's good that you know how to properly do laundry. You're a great cook and also great at household chores. At least I'm relieved that Deon is in good hands with his future wife. Eh? Where did that come from? I felt my first burn up once again, and it took all of my power to stop myself from dunking my head in the water so I could hide my shame. She gazed at me with a small smile. I didn't expect the woman infamously known as the demon could be capable of such expressions. Deon's affection towards you isn't a secret anymore, you know. I'm just glad he's found someone he likes. It's about time he started maturing. I've had enough of his laziness and immaturity. Such as his pranks where I end up soaking wet. I shuddered at the memory. Read my desk. Someone's typing on the other one. I shuddered at the memory. And there was another time when he left a giant spider in Lily's room. She refused to go in by herself for a week. Miss Maria. We already said he needed to grow up, so... It's true that he's a troublemaker, but he reminded me of myself sometimes. I used to get into trouble myself when I was younger. You look pretty young. That's why I know that there's one thing troublemakers have in common. Their desire for attention. They want someone to acknowledge them and their existence. I haven't thought of it that way before. You may be right, Aura. I can't blame Deon entirely, especially after everything he went through with his father. She fell silent after that, a frown on her face as she pondered what I had said. Since you came here, I'm slowly found a glimpse of that little boy I used to know. You really are a good influence on him, you know? I didn't do anything at all, Miss Maria. You have, Aura. You're giving him hope. That's why I want you to take good care of him. I felt my face warm up again. What are you talking about? Miss Maria laughed and patted my hand. I know he'll be happy with you, Aura. I'm a little concerned. I hummed to myself as I strolled back to my room. Thinking how much I've grown accustomed to the mansion after staying here for almost 2 months already. I was surprised when Deon appeared out of nowhere and pulled me towards him, pressing his lips against mine. Startled, I reached my arms out and pushed him away, my cheeks burning. What's with that reaction? It's not like this is the first time we kissed. That's because you were a toy bear back then. I was, but how is that different from now? I tried so hard to face him, but whenever our eyes met, I just automatically looked away. It's different, okay? I heard him chuckle and felt his face lean closer to mine. I instinctively stepped back and he held my arm and stopped me. You're blushing, love. I am not. Deon's smirk widened. So I'm finally getting a reaction from you. Admit it already. You've fallen in love with me. What? Deon smiled and began pulling me with him. I'm a step closer, which is a good thing. By the way, there's something I wanted to do for you that I couldn't have done as a bear. Oh, he's gonna play? My eyes widened and I stopped dead, my cheeks burning hot. I automatically hugged myself with my free arm. I could not get the other one free. Don't you dare come near me, you pervert! A light blush spread across Deon's cheeks in realization. It's not what you're thinking. Can you give me a little credit here? You can't blame me for thinking that way. I promise I won't do anything to you. That suffice. I was still suspicious, but his puppy dog eyes were even stronger now that he was human. Fine. He led me down the hall. I relaxed when I recognized where he was taking me, our secret hiding place. It felt like it had been a long time since I last went there. Thank heavens it wasn't this bedroom. It wasn't his bedroom, or else I would have killed him. So no matter how good looking the guy was, really? Murder. I braced myself for that familiar pain whenever I look at the piano, and I was surprised that the pain hurt less than before. Could it be because of Deon? Make yourself comfortable, Aura. I did promise to play you a song when I turned back to a human bear. Sorry, turned back into a human, not a bear. It's been a while, so I might be a bit rusty, but it's better than nothing, right? He headed for the piano, adjusting the bench before sitting down. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath, expertly testing the keys with his hands. Aww. He looks so cute. His hands were soon gliding across the keyboards. He was engulfed in the song, his body moving back and forth to the tempo of the music. Love the CG. I love it too. It's really pretty. From where I was seated, I had a full view of his back, and I hadn't noticed until now how big and strong it was. Classy. It reminded me of my father. He used to play the piano like this too, and I would sit and admire him from behind. Father, he's so far away now. The memories of the day he died came back to me. He was playing the piano in one of those restaurants he worked for when the ceiling collapsed and fell on him. He died before we even reached the hospital. Since then, seeing and hearing the piano scared me. I felt something wet trickle down my face, and it wasn't long before I was sobbing into my hand as I recalled the happy times I had spent with my beloved father. The music stopped. I looked up to find Deon watching me, his eyes filled with concern. Is my playing really that horrible, Aura? No, Deon, it's not you. I just remembered my father. He was by my side in an instant, wrapping his warm arms around my shoulder. I'm sorry, Aura, it's my fault. It's not your fault, Deon. I'm sorry I started crying. The song gets really lovely. Can you play it for me again? I promise I won't cry this time. Don't make the weird promises. I wiped my tears away with my back of my hand and gave him a reassuring smile. Are you sure, Aura? I'll be fine. I smiled at him through my tears to convince him, but of course he didn't believe me. I had to practically shove him towards the piano before he reluctantly left my side. That didn't stop him from giving me another worried glance. I nodded at him to continue, and finally he turned back to the piano. As the music rang through the room, I closed my eyes. His worry for me, it was kind of cute, no? It was more than cute. In a way, he was a lot like my father. They both loved music and wanted to share it with everyone. And music should be shared and enjoyed, not just as a trigger for painful memories. And now, as Deon continued to play his song, I felt warm and content inside. Why did I force myself to lock such a beautiful thing away? Music. Music makes me truly happy. It was strange how a few weeks ago, just the thought of pain and music brought back only painful memories. Without Deon, I wouldn't have been able to come to terms with myself and my past. If Deon wasn't here with me, I wouldn't know what to do. After playing a few more pieces, Deon led me back into the hallway. Deon? Yes. Have you talked with Sol yet? Deon stopped walking and became silent for a while. Yes. How did it go? I only made him angrier, and I kind of suffered a very long lecture from him. I deserved it, though. Has he forgiven you? I don't think so. He hasn't talked to me since then. My heart ached for him, Sol too, but Deon took up more of my feelings. He just needs more time. I hope you're right. I lagged behind and watched him from afar as he walked on alone. He had become such a vital part of my life without me realizing it that I could not imagine what my life would be like without him. At that moment, I felt that I would be truly happy. I felt that I would be truly happy to stay with him forever. I surprised myself with that confession. I watched Deon's retreating back, and I realized that then that I could no longer run away from my true feelings anymore. What does that mean? I never knew that acknowledging my feelings for Deon could be quite so difficult. From then on, it was even harder to properly face him without blushing crimson. I bit my lower lip and glanced at Deon beside me. What do you think Sol will talk about? Deon and I were currently on our way to Sol's room. Earlier, he had asked us to go there because he had something important to discuss with us. I hoped that this would be the day where they would set things right. Deon smirked. Maybe he'll give us his blessing. My heart doubled in speed. Stop joking around, Deon. I'm being serious here. I gasped when he grabbed my arm and pulled me behind a window curtain. I was serious too, love. Tell me. Do I have a chance for your love? Deon, you cannot be so straightforward with me. I am a shy girl. I found myself getting lost in his gaze, and it took all of my willpower to stop myself from looking away. I took a deep breath. Deon, thank you for bringing music back into my life. Thank you for everything. I wouldn't have known what to do after getting lost in the forest. It's because of you that I'm happy. Deon's eyes stretched wide. They were filled with hope and joy. Are you saying that you love me? Maybe. Say it then. What I just said was already embarrassing enough, okay? Please. He drew his face closer and I had to hold my breath. I want to hear you say it, Aura. I'm in love with you, stupid. Oh. Wow, they got another CG so fast. That's pretty cute. This is my favorite CG. Yeah, this is probably my favorite right now, too. I like the texture. They did really good on this texture on them, too. Like, her clothes has so many wrinkles in it. Like, whoa. That was all the invitation he needed before he pulled me against him and crashed his lips against mine almost desperately. I willingly gave in to his impulse this time, closing my eyes as I did so. I parted my lips, feeling his tongue brush against my own, causing my heart to race 100 times faster than normal. He nibbled gently on my lower lip and I couldn't stop a moan from escaping my mouth. Bit much. I ran a hand through his silky hair and, feeling bold, pulled him even closer towards me. I never wanted to let him go. To my surprise and disappointment, it was Deon who broke off first. He was panting as he spoke and his face was flushed red. We should probably go find Soul. He'll be wondering what happened to us. I must have looked disappointed because Deon leaned closer, his lips brushing mine again as he spoke. We can finish this later if you're that eager to continue. Sir. My cheeks burned at his comment, and in my embarrassment, I pushed him away from me. He tumbled into the window curtain. You're right. We should go before someone finds us here. Deon nodded in agreement, tripping as he untangled himself from the curtain. Good. You deserve it. We both arrived in Soul's workroom, where we found him looking at some papers on his desk. Soul raised an eyebrow at our identical disheveled appearance, and that's when I realized that we hadn't gotten a chance to fix our hair or our clothes. My face burned. I won't ask. That's wonderful. If you won't ask, then I will. Why did you call us here, dear brother? We were both surprised when Soul suddenly bent down in apology. I'm sorry if I ever doubted you, brother. I'm sorry for getting angry at you. Soul, I've always looked up to you since we were young. You've always been my hero, and that's why it hurt so much when you abandoned me with the responsibilities of being the heir. But back then, I didn't know your sacrifices for us. Deon walked to Soul's side and draped his arms on his shoulder. Brother, you also made a big sacrifice for gold, and I too. So I'm also sorry for not being there as your older brother. Someone recently told me that we should never lose hope. Deon smiled at this. At me, even. We should all start over again, and this time we'll live as a family just like we used to be. Soul smiled, and for the first time, I saw that it was a real one. I'd like that. My chest warmed, and I gasped as the locket floated in the air, surrounded by a golden light. This is very Beauty and the Beast right now. Shing shing! I couldn't take my eyes off it. I watched the rust slowly melt away, leaving behind a beautiful gold locket. With a click, it opened, revealing an old picture of a beautiful little girl. I gasped. Gold! A blinding white light swallowed the room. Aura? Aura! I blinked a few times and found myself cradled in Deon's arms. Soul was there as well, looking at me with concern in his eyes. Are you all right, my lady? Yes? What just happened? I craned my neck towards the door when I heard loud footsteps approaching. Should I, like... Just for my heart. The door opened and there Royal and Lily stood panting. What's with you two? Lily began crying, but it wasn't because of sadness. I know, because she laughed as she cried. Lady Gold! She's back! The curse has been broken. A hint of a smile played on Royal's lips. We all rushed to Gold's room, where we found her wrapped in an embrace by Miss Maria. She looked at us, her sky blue eyes shimmering as tears of joy rolled down her cheek. I'm back. Gold. Took you a while, though. Gold smiled and ran towards her brothers. I wiped my own tears away as I watched the three of them finally reunited. Gold laughed, sandwiched in a hug between her two older brothers, their smiles finally genuine. The Deluxe curse was no more now. They could finally live in the normal life they deserve. This was a very special day for everyone, and so I decided to cook them something special. We really owe you a lot, Miss Aura, for setting us free. Please, you give me too much credit, Lily. But you deserve all of it, Miss Aura. I was surprised when Gold entered the room smiling beautifully at me. She really looked like an angel. Now I finally understood why Royal liked her. I wasn't able to personally thank you yet, so... She curtsied. Thank you for everything. I'm so glad that things are back to normal now. Now all of you can live happily. So, what will you do now, Miss Aura? The curse is gone, and now you're free to leave the mansion. It's true. She was right. I had been so caught up with trying to break the curse that I'd forgotten the real reason the real reason I crossed paths with the mansion. I promised Mother that I would become a great chef. Sadness washed over Lily's face. I know that you always wanted to leave so you can fulfill your dream, but you've already become a part of our family, Miss Aura, and I don't want you to leave us. Gold pouted next to Lily, her expression beyond the definition of cute. And what about my brother? Huh? Deon, my brother loves you so much, Miss Aura. When he visited me in my room back then, he always told me how amazing you are and how much he loves you. I felt my face burn. He said that? What are you ladies talking about? I jumped when a pair of arms suddenly wound their way around my waist. I spun around and my heart sped up when I saw Deon. I'm adding words. Deon, don't scare me like that. Deon snuggled against the curve of my neck, and I felt his warm breath caressing my skin. My legs trembled, and I was glad that he was there to keep me standing. Sorry. I heard someone cough, and I remembered with a jolt that we were not the only ones in the room. God, I wish the ground could swallow me whole this instant. Quickly, I pushed Deon away and covered my face. I'm so jealous. Brother, control yourself, will you? You're embarrassing Miss Aura. Deon chuckled and raised his hands in surrender. My apologies, I just couldn't help it. What are you doing here anyways? Just wondering what you're making for us. I had to admit that I hadn't actually figured out what to cook yet, so I was so excited to be in the kitchen. It's a surprise. I'll eat whatever you put on my plate. Everything you've made has been delicious. At this rate, I won't be able to fit through the door. Oh, I'm sure you'd be so cute. Gold clapped her hands in delight. I'm afraid I'm cuter as a bear, although I prefer being a human. If it's all right with you, can I borrow Miss Flora for a while? Of course. Just don't take most of her time from me or I'll be jealous. Deon stared meaningfully at me as he spoke, and suffering another blush, I slapped his arm. Lily's mouth dropped open with amazement. The scene could have been quite comical if I wasn't so embarrassed under Deon's gaze. Gold chuckled. Lily? Of course, my lady, leave the cooking to me, but No worries, Miss Aura. You've been cooking for us since you got here. You need to take a rest every once in a while. I smiled at her. I was eager to cook, but I didn't want to refuse Gold's invitation. Okay, thanks, Lily. I let out a sigh as I stared at the flowers in the garden. I sat here waiting for Gold to come back. She said that she needed to get something. Miss Aura! I turned to the sound of her angelic voice, and she was holding out a rose, smiling gratefully at me. This is for you, Miss Aura. Thank you, didn't have to. This is my thanks for you. I hope you'll like it. But you've already thanked me, right? You don't have to keep thanking me. This isn't because you broke the spell. It's my way of thanking you for what you've done for my brother Deon. I'm happy that he has finally found someone he can dedicate his life to, especially after he's wasted so much of his life taking care of us. Stretch! Okay. Oof. Okay. Spent so much of his life taking care of us. After our mother passed away, he would bring me to the music room and play the piano for me every night. He said that mother would have loved it if I heard him play. I barely remember what happened, since I was only 2 at the time, but I do remember thinking how pretty the music was. I thought back to everything Deon had told me about his past. Gold didn't know anything about his sacrifice for them, so she still thought of him as her perfect older brother who loved them so much. I smiled to myself. It was better that Gold didn't know about his past, so she could stay the way she is now. No, it's not. That's not a good sentence. No, no, no. I know that this is a selfish request, but please don't leave us. I smiled and held her hand. I'd already decided that I could not leave this place anymore, especially now that I found a family once again. I won't. Really? I nodded. It's true that all I ever wanted was to fulfill my dreams to become a great chef. But then I recently realized that there was something I wanted more than that, and that is to be a part of a family. Gold giggled. You definitely are part of our family now. You are my future sister-in-law, after all. Gold chuckled once again. I know you'll make my brother happy, Miss Aura. Since the curse was broken, Deon decided that it was better not to lock the music room anymore. So every once in a while, we all gathered there to listen to him play beautiful music on the piano. The pain of the past was no longer there, replaced by all the wonderful memories I had with my family, as well as the new memories I gained from my stay here. Dee and I were all the only ones in the room right now, and I silently sat beside him while he played a new song. A song he wrote just for me. He stopped when he heard a knock on the door. Excuse me. What brings you here? Soul's gaze shifted to mine, then back to Deon. He seemed nervous. Soul coughed at his hand and straightened himself. Brother, I have something to tell you. Deon looked at him, his face hardened as if realizing what Soul was about to say. I think it's time for you to take back what is rightfully yours. My breath caught in my throat as my mind processed his words. I felt Deon stiffen in front of me. You want me to be the heir again? Deon spoke flatly, clearly displeased with Soul's words. Yes. Everyone knows you're the heir now, Soul. The title is yours, not mine. I can't take it back anymore. But the title was originally yours. You're the true heir, and you still are, brother. I only became one in order to keep Father's pride. Everyone in the kingdom already knew about his wickedness, thus the reason why we were cursed in the first place. I want the people to know that you are not who Father claimed you to be. You're a good person, brother. I want them to see that. Deon was silent, oh God. Deon was silent, only adding to the tension inside the room. I tried, but I'm changing all the words today. Deon took a deep breath as he contemplated Soul's request. Whisper in his ear? What would I whisper in his ear? I stood behind him, wondering if I should do something to help. Okay, so I've been cheating sort of the whole time, but I have been, whatever I actually say, I don't know if I would have whispered in his ear. I just don't know. Support him silently is letting him decide what he wants to do, and that's probably the best choice you can make. I leaned my head against his back, telling him wordlessly that I was there to support him no matter what he decided. Deon's hand found my own and he squeezed it, letting me know that he understood my message. Finally, after that, what seemed like a lifetime passed, he gave Soul his answer. Very well, brother. Soul looked so relieved and happy. Being heir was a burden he had to carry for far too long, especially when he had been suddenly forced onto him like that. I'm sure that the family will flourish under your care. Just don't blame me if things go wrong. Deon spoke seriously, but there was humor in his voice. Soul chuckled. Don't worry, brother. I'll be here to back you up. This time, you won't be alone because we're all here for you. After talking to Soul, we headed back to Deon's room, but the way he was frowning as he walked always worried me. Deon, is something troubling you? You know me too well, love. Do I? Deon leaned closer and placed a kiss on my forehead. You do. It's just that... Was that really the right decision, Aura? I don't think I'll be able to take care of the family. What will the people think of me? I failed everyone once before. I placed a finger on his lips. You don't have to do your best for the sake of the family's name, Deon. Your father isn't here to criticize you anymore. I know that you will do what is right. Deon smiled at me, his love vibrant on his lips. That's why I'm glad you're by my side, Aura. I feel lucky I was able to meet someone as amazing as you. Thank you for trusting me. Back there, I was really confused. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. But when I felt you beside me, just the thought of you being by my side was all I needed to make my decision. I am used to people always telling me what to do. That's why your silent supporting me really meant a lot. It made me feel that you trusted me to make the right decision. Of course I trust you. Don't you ever forget that. Deon squeezed my hand. I love you, Aura. I love you too. Oh, you. As time passed, news that the Deluxe curse had been broken began to spread through the nearby towns like a forest fire. When everyone found out that Deon was once again the heir, most were skeptical and questioned his ability to lead the family. Hydrate. But that didn't stop Deon. He worked tirelessly, showing everyone that he indeed deserved the position and that their father was wrong about him. I'm going to refill my water soon. The progress was slow, but after months of hard work with Deon as the head, the family once again had great influence over the people and the kingdom. The people started trusting him once again. He truly was the one meant to lead the family. He worked day and night for countless days in order to finish the paperwork that had piled up after their absence, and attended meetings with the locals to discuss what they would do would be best for them socially and economically. I wondered how Deon was doing. He hasn't taken a single break since this morning. When I told him to do what he thought was right, I didn't mean shutting himself inside his room and working until he exhausted himself. I barely see him anymore and I miss him. I continued preparing dinner in the kitchen that I loved so much. I never became a famous chef at all, but I did become the family's best chef, or so my new family told me. Just then, Golden Lolly dashed in, their eyes shining. Aura, come with us, quick! Did Deon and Royal get into another fight? Then again, they didn't look worried, so it couldn't be anything bad. I'm not done yet. The food can wait, Aura. This is more important. Baffled by their sudden enthusiasm, I let Lily and Gold drag me after them. After a few moments, I realized that they were leading me to the garden. What's going on? You'll see. It was then that I noticed the rose petals scattered on the ground. They weren't randomly scattered either. It was as though they were leading somewhere. Lily grinned and gestured at the petals. Ta-da! There's a trail of rose petals. Just follow the trail, Aura. I frowned, wondering what on earth was happening. Go on, Aura. There's a surprise waiting for you at the end of the path. She gave me a friendly nudge, and giving in to my curiosity, I followed the petals deeper into the garden. But not before glancing back at Gold and Lolly, who both grinned at me in return. I hope this wasn't one of Deon's jokes. I continued walking, my breath caught in my throat when I saw who was waiting for me at the end. There stood the person who had stolen my heart. To me, he looked so perfect. Oh, this looks sad. Oh, her hair's down. I know I haven't been by your side lately, with all the work I've been getting. I'm sorry for making you worry all that time. Oh, I've been so worried, all right. I'm glad that you're taking your work seriously, but you have to take care of your body as well. That's why I have you here with me, to take care of me and my body. My face warmed up. Deon! You're definitely fun to tease. Deon squeezed my hand tighter. You see, this is the real reason why I led you here. Which brother do you enjoy more, Leah? Honestly, I think I like Soul more. I like his teasing, but his route is not as interesting to me as Soul's was. I do like that they're both snake boys, though. A brother set of snakes. This is the real reason why I led you here. My words were lost when he pulled out a beautiful ring from his pocket. Oh. Remember what I told you when I was still a bear? Honestly, I do. I said that I would make you my wife, so now please be mine, Aura. There's nothing I want more than to have you by my side forever. I like them equally, but I'm more interested in Deon. I still like Soul's route. I mean, they're both cute. They both have a nice little story to them. You didn't have to ask, Deon. You could have just assumed I am now yours. I'm not planning to leave your side. You're my home now, Deon. I can hear my tummy growling. I don't know if that's picking up, but if it is, it's my tummy growling. I didn't eat before I started streaming. I couldn't stop myself from bursting into tears as he slipped the ring onto my fourth finger. I really feel like if you're holding it this way, sure, it's the fourth, but like, I think ring finger, I feel like I would call it my second finger. I just don't think I would call this my fourth finger because I'd be counting it from this view. You know what I'm saying? Because this is your thumb anyways. Do you consider, like, they are, like, you call them thumbs, right? And these are called fingers. So technically, I can argue this. beaming at me with the most bright and beautiful smile I'd ever seen. Thank you, Aura. Is the ring on her finger now? I don't see it. Thank you so much for everything you've done. I closed my eyes and let Deon's warmth wrap me up like a blanket. At this moment, I felt as though I were a princess who had found her ever after, the perfect ending I'd always dreamed of. Best end. Thank you for playing. We hope you enjoyed it. See, he's still a bear right now. Definitely play Cinderella Phenomenon one day. Same indie developer, Daisuke. I think that was the one we were deciding between was which one we thought I could finish in a couple days. And this one had 3 routes. I think that's why I picked this one. I have that one favorited though. There's so many games coming out. Like it hurts my feelings because I'm trying to be good. But I also want to buy all the new games. Plus now I'm obsessed with Touch Starved. I need more Touch Starved. They need to finish making that game for me. For me specifically. Just for me. So I assume the next time we turn this on, it's going to be... Or do I have to get both endings for it to unlock the person? I wonder if I... Can I... load it back here, maybe? See if I can get the other ending real fast. Without needing further persuasion from Deon, I dove under the bed just in time to hear the door open. I held my breath, afraid that even the smallest movement would allow him to find us. Royal nudged the door closed before shuffling over to Gold and kneeling before her. Sorry, please forgive me. Why is he apologizing? I turned to Deon for answers, but he remained silent, gazing at Royal intently. If I didn't know that he could talk, I'd have thought he was an actual teddy bear. I waited, expecting Royal to talk more, but in my disappointment, those were the only words he spoke. A few minutes later, of tense silence, he finally left the room. After making sure that he wouldn't be coming back, I crawled out from my hiding place. What was that all about? Deon hesitated, debating whether he should tell me or not. Eventually, he gave it, sighing, waiting for where I can skip. Royal blamed himself for what happened to Gold because he thinks that he wasn't able to fulfill his stupid childhood promise that he would always protect her. I thought back to how Royal became so protective when it came to Gold. Maybe he was in love with her. Smoothing some of these wrinkles out of my dress, I shook my head at Deon. I don't think it's stupid at all. Using these before the free gift sub expires. Aw. That's super cute. ASSY. See, there's too many psychos here. I'm psycho 1160. I don't know if it gives me a choice to change that at some point. Deon was quiet, and it made me think that maybe I had said something wrong. We should go before anyone finds us here. Oh, interesting. Right. And in case I had ever forgot to remind me not to sneak into someone's room, he didn't say anything to me. I see. He was more truthful in the other end. Talk to Deon. We're making the opposite choices. Oh. The scene from the garden was still fresh in my mind as I snuck towards Deon's room. At this rate, I was going to become the world's best sneaker. I rolled my eyes, imagining myself. Are you there, Deon? There was no reply. I huffed, intent to complete my mission. I'm coming in. I pulled the door open and poked my head inside. I found him laying on his bed, his back facing me. Deon, what do you want? I winced. He didn't sound very happy. I'm kind of going a little fast because it's not actually different dialogue, but because it's a different choice route, it's giving it different stuff. Are you alright? Like the rest of them. I stepped behind the door. What do you mean I'm just like the rest of them? You think I'm selfish? I took a deep breath. I do. But then again, aren't we all selfish to some extent? I heard him sigh. The fight was my fault. I told him to give up. We don't know if she's alive. Okay. Do I get a... It's been 7 years, but Pearl hasn't given up. It's just... I failed her, and Soul, how can I... How can I still face her? Okay. Ow. To do the same. Deon looked at me, his features finally softening. You're right. I love you more each day. Thanks. I'm gonna skip a bit. This is all stuff we've seen. I want them to face the suffering back then. Old was 10. This is when her dad said if he didn't quit, she'd marry someone random. I don't understand the reason why you have to act like an irresponsible heir. You wanted to make it appear as if I deceived everyone. I see. I hate when they do this and you can't skip, but it's all the same dialogue. Your father's gone, Deon. You can now tell Soul the truth. I can't. Why? Because it's pure. He's a pure soul. I smiled at him. In order to break the curse, something must be repaired. I saw it. We had a skip button. We'll defend Deon. I'm gonna save because I don't know if I'm actually doing this right. Did I go far enough back? Did I start off far enough? I'm sure he wasn't always like that. How can you be sure? You've only known him for a few months. I froze, knowing deep down that she was right. Miss Maria has watched over him since he was a child. That's kind of mean, though. She had watched over him for who knows how long, and here I was acting like I knew him better than she did. So, pausing, Miss Maria stared at the wrung-out vest in her hand. If it was Deon's. It's true, he wasn't always like that. My eyes widened. Really? I stopped wringing out the shirt in my hand, eager for more about Deon's past, but she shook her head and went back to the laundry. Anyways, what's your favorite dish, Aura? I was surprised to hear the sudden change of topic. I would probably regret it later, but that was the last thing I was worried about at the moment. Instead, my mind spun as I obsessed over what she had let slip about Deon. What on earth could she have meant? Did we do it? Did we do it? Forgot about this one. Alright. Again, wrong answers only. I believe in you, Deon. Just do what you think is right. He gave me a single subtle nod to show that he had heard me before taking a deep breath and turned to face Soul. How was that not also a fine answer? After what seemed like a lifetime passing, he gave Soul his answer. Very well, brother. Soul looked relieved and happy. Being heir was a burden he had carried for so long. Sure, they'll flourish. Don't blame me. I remember. This time, you won't be alone. Okay. After talking to Soul, we headed back to Deon's room, but the way he was frowning as he walked really worried me. Is something troubling you? You know me too well. Do I? You do. It's just... Okay. This is all repeating. Okay, it's repeating still. We're still repeating. I haven't seen Deon in days. He's always busy locking himself inside his room and doing nothing but paperwork. He even skipped dinner. I paced outside his room debating whether I should knock when the door cracked open. Deon's head popped through the gap. Are you going to come in? At my startled look, he smiled. It was a tired one, though. I could hear you walking out here. It's very distracting. He actually had the nerve to waggle his eyebrows at me as he spoke. What's that supposed to mean? Rather than answer, he glanced at the tray in my hands, eyes bright. Is that for me? It smells delicious, love. Yeah. Hey, on second thought, no. I pouted, wanting to pay him back for his teasing. Really? So you spent all this time making it just to throw it away? Yes. I mean, no. Fine, take it. Giving in, I always lose to him. I shoved the tray in his hand. Deon beamed at me, gratefully accepting the meal. Still grinning, Deon invited me into the room. He returned to his desk to eat while I settled onto the edge of his bed. The rest of the house was silent as he ate, lost in the world of dreams. Only Deon and I were still awake. My eyes softened while I gazed at him. The way he ate made it seem like the food was the best he'd ever tasted. You shouldn't be up so late, you know. I know, but it can't be helped. It's important for everyone here that the public starts respecting the Deluxe family again. He set his fork down, suddenly forlorn. I'm sorry I'm troubling so much, love. I shook my head, returning Deon's earlier smile. Don't worry about me, Deon. You should worry more about yourself. I want to repay you for everything you've done after all this is over. But I still need a little more time. Would you mind waiting for me until then? Of course, I don't mind, silly. I'll wait forever if I have to. Deon stood up and walked over to where I was sitting. Without hesitating, he leaned closer and planted a soft kiss on my lips. I promise I won't make you wait that long. You better not. His mouth slid into a frown as he pulled away. I should probably get back to work. Feeling bold and a bit lonely, I asked something I normally wouldn't have had the courage to ask. Deon, would you mind if I stayed here tonight? Though he stared at me a moment, Deon responded with a mischievous smile. My love is actually making the first move. I slapped his hand and he laughed. If you don't mind me working while you sleep, as long as I have you by my side, then I won't mind at all. He leaned in, kissed me once again, and I blushed furiously. I could taste his late-night snack on my lips as he pulled away. Deon turned and sauntered back to his desk while I shifted to the middle of the bed, folding my legs under me. I smiled as I watched him work diligently on his unending paperwork. He really had changed from the person he had been when I first met him. It made me happy knowing that Deon will be able to take care of his family no matter what the future held. And I would be happy staying by his side, trusting him to keep his promise to me. There was not a wait long enough that could erase my happiness. Knowing that Deon was there to protect me, I let out a final yawn and fell asleep listening to the furious scribbles of his pen and the constant flipping of papers. Those sounds were soothing melodies as I drifted into a dream where I finally got my forever after. Won't lie, not the best. There he is! Look at him! There he is! We did it. If I gotta do it to unlock both of the pictures, I'll do it. His normal ending was not as good, but his good ending was cute. Feels very melancholic when you're like, we're gonna be together, but let me fill out all this paperwork first in the middle of the night. Excellent, excellent. Well, we are going to do the third route tomorrow just because I would like to eat before I go to work today. And tomorrow I have more free time, so I might do 2 streams tomorrow. Came back to the end. I'm sorry, Tarp. It's over. But we're gonna do, tomorrow we're doing Royals route. We'll see how it goes. Royals in love with the princess. Thank you for the stream. Thank you, Asia. Thank you guys for joining me today. If you're watching this on YouTube, I stream on Twitch about 3 times a week. And if you're watching this on Twitch, I upload all the VODs onto YouTube. But we just became affiliated, so now the VODs do stay a little bit longer on Twitch, so they don't expire as fast as they used to. So that's also fun. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you guys have a lovely day. Bye, bye, bye.